You're going to want to avoid moving to Beverly Hills unless you can handle these 10 facts. Hi, this is Erik Brown, and I'm sharing with you the best of Beverly Hills, where we go through the best and brightest of what the city has to offer. Now, my real estate team and I are getting dozens of phone calls, emails, and web visits per day of people that are interested in moving to Beverly Hills or the greater Los Angeles area, and we would love to help. And you get the benefit of the fact that my lens, looking around every corner, is your set of eyes and ears for the city. I'm a transplant myself. I moved here several years ago, and so I'm able to see things that could be really unique and helpful to you, and I want you to take advantage of them. So as we move forward, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make sure to hit notifications so you get the most recent videos if you're particularly interested in anything and all things Beverly Hills. Now, let's dive into those 10 facts that you're going to want to know. And I personally think that number 10 is the most important, so I want you to stick around. Let's begin right away with number 1, and that is the vibe of the city. Beverly Hills is really interesting in that it is 90210. It is synonymous around the world with being a city that is luxurious. And that is absolutely true. You have got Roxbury and Rodeo Drive and Cannon Drive and Wilshire, and there are these huge luxurious stores and restaurants and shopping and entertainment experience that will bring people from not only all over the city and the area, but also from around the world. But what's interesting about the vibe is once you get outside of that commercial district, which is really walkable, you can walk most of the city in a half hour. Just outside of a few blocks, you hit this residential area, which just feels like every other city. Great streets, sidewalks, really walkable, kids riding around on their bikes, people walking their dogs, exercising in the park, people saying hello to their neighbors, chatting with the mail person. There's lots of small town feel in Beverly Hills. And considering that you've got all of this glitz and glam, it's a unique component that adds to the vibe of the city. Number 2 is jobs. Beverly Hills, for a small city, has a lot of employers. Live Nation is here. The city obviously employs a volume of people. You have 2 really large, well-known globally talent agencies between William Morris and Creative Artists. It's really close in Century City for their headquarters, but that's a stone throw away. You also have the Hillstone Restaurant Group, which owns and manages many restaurants that are in the area. So you'll have servers, bartenders, managers that are all employed as well. But also there are many large employers that are in the area. California is the 5th largest economy in the world as a state, and Los Angeles is a huge hub of that. You've got UCLA and USC, which are close by as colleges. You have tourism. You have the Los Angeles airport that is literally 30-40 minutes away, pending traffic, of course, which LA is known for its traffic. You also have outside of not only the tourism component, you'll also have agriculture is close by. You have imports, exports. Just south of Beverly Hills is Silicon Beach. There are so many different employers that bring people here. So that is point number 2. Point number 3 about Beverly Hills that you're going to want to know is the schools are really reputable and highly ranked. If you go to any website, greatschools.org is one that many people use. All of the schools between Beverly Hills High School to Warner Elementary School or Hawthorne Elementary School or Buena Vista, Roscommare, these various schools are ranked 9s out of 10s. And so the community really cares about the schools, the teachers really care about the schools. There are private options in the area, but why spend the additional $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year on tuition when you can have a public school experience that people move into the area just to take advantage of? That's number 3. Number 4 that I think is important to know about the area are the salaries. Now this area, Beverly Hills specific, has salaries that are higher than the localized average, but you also have a higher cost of living. A really large employer that I forgot to mention previously was Cedars-Sinai. It's a 20,000 person hospital that is world renowned for not only their research, but also their practicum. I have found that in working with a lot of the doctors and medical staff there, they are paid more and given different incentives that they were originally from their state or their country that they came from. And it's a lot of times because of the cost of living. I'll just throw out one example that so far this year, we're finding that home prices on average in Beverly Hills are selling for about $7 million. In 2016, the average home price was $5 million. So you're saying $2 million of appreciation in 5 years, including a pandemic in there. It's pretty amazing how much appreciation will happen in Beverly Hills. And this all adds to that cost of living component and also the salaries that people need to make. Number 5 is the celebrity component. Now, I did talk about that small town feel in Beverly Hills, but who am I kidding? Beverly Hills is known for being 90210. And so as you're walking up and down Rodeo Drive or any of the area, give it a week and you're gonna bump into a celebrity. You're gonna bump into paparazzi. You're gonna bump into someone that you might scratch your head and say, did I go to high school with that person? Nope, they were probably on a sitcom or a television show or a movie that you just forgot about. And that's absolutely real. Unlike many other cities that you're going to see around the country, because we're so close to the industry and Hollywood, you're gonna see celebrities that live in Beverly Hills getting coffee, going to the grocery store, pumping their own gas. It's very unique. It does lend itself to having sometimes a little less privacy for the area, but it's something that's really unique to the city. Now, this is a really good stopping point for me to be able to say, this is pretty exciting, isn't it? Hopefully you're finding this information to be informative, and you might know another person or two that would feel the same way. If so, share this information, or if you've got questions, comment here. I'd love to be able to touch base and answer anything that you may have as far as questions will go for the city or the area. Now, let's move on to our next point. Now, number 6 is going to be the weather. I am a little bit jaded, but I think that the Los Angeles area has top 5 weather in the world. California in general has very little when it comes to bugs, which is great, and the weather is super temperate. I would say that we average somewhere between 70 to 80 degrees most of the year. During the winter months, we will hit down into the 50s and 60s. At night, it might even get into the high 40s. And during the summer, we might creep into the 90s. Now, if on the other side of the hill, you'll hit the valley, we get into the north of 100 degrees. But here in Beverly Hills, you're gonna find that overall it's very temperate. You'll find that there is no snow, there is a moderate amount of rain, and unfortunately, with rising temperatures and global warming, we do find that we're awfully close to areas that have fire zones. They're north of us, and it thankfully has not affected Beverly Hills or surrounding, but there are fire hazards where it does have a tendency to raise insurances for those folks that live in certain areas of the city or the area. So it's something else to look into. But I must say that this weather is absolutely phenomenal and you'll get really used to it. I'm originally from Minnesota, and so we had 6 months of snow, and so I'm not any longer wearing winter hats and winter coats and gloves, and I gotta confess, it's pretty awesome. So that is point number 6. Point number 7 is housing. Now, a lot of people will talk about if we're in a market that just continues to appreciate, when's it gonna level off? When is it gonna normalize? When is it going to adjust? And the interesting part here is because of all of the advantages of Beverly Hills, weather, economy, diversity, how great the city is with its shops and entertainment and restaurants, I generally found that has not happened for years. We have been in a escalating market. We're still seeing multiple offers. We have low interest rates. You couple all these things together and the market is really, really hot. And so you want to make sure that you are positioned correctly if you're looking at buying in this market or investing in this market, because it's one that just continues to do really well. Let's move on to point number 8, which is traffic. Los Angeles traffic is a real thing, and that includes Beverly Hills. Thankfully, there are no highways that run directly in Beverly Hills, so it makes the traffic a little bit more palatable. You've got the 405 on the west side and the 10 that is south of us, and then you have some thoroughfares in Olympic and Pico and Santa Monica and Sunset, but these areas are much easier to get through and around, particularly if you're not driving during rush hour time. Now, to go from Beverly Hills to West Hollywood might take you 10 minutes even with traffic, so it's pretty easy to get to. but you do want to understand traffic here, because from door to door, it might take you a half hour to get someplace that it would not be the same in another area of the city, because you do have to pay for parking, you do have to get to your car, you do have to walk to other places. So make sure that you're factoring in traffic into your decision. Point number 9 is exploration. There's so many sections of the city, particularly for a small town feel city, to be able to check out. From the parks like Roxbury or Will Rogers Park, La Cienega is really close by, to some of the shopping. Obviously there is Rodeo Drive and you could just walk in down and see all of the luxury shops, but also small town places that are off the beaten path. There are great restaurants, street side restaurants like Il Pastel, and rooftop restaurants like the Waldorf Astoria, and everything in between. You can get vegan, you can get steakhouse, you can get a variety of different restaurants from around the world. There's so much to take advantage of. Entertainment is great, and oftentimes in Beverly Hills will center around hotels. The Mayborn Hotel has outdoor musics in their little courtyard area. You'll also find the Polo Lounge, the Beverly Wilshire where Pretty Woman was filmed, the Peninsula. There's so many different areas to be able to explore and take advantage of that I would encourage you to do so. Not only that, but you've got great areas that are surrounding Beverly Hills. You've got the ocean, you've got downtown LA, you've got great hikes that are in the hills. You can take advantage of wildlife. You've got the valley on the other side. Obviously, we are in Hollywood, so there are movie theaters galore. Make sure you're exploring when you come to Beverly Hills. Last but not least, point number 10 is I would highly encourage you to have a guide. This is what I think is the most important, particularly if you're thinking about buying or selling at some point in Beverly Hills. Having someone that has done it before you, having someone that you can lean on. You're about to make in Beverly Hills a 6, 7, or 8-figure decision if you are buying or selling, and having the right person in your corner to be able to help you is, I think, worth its weight in gold. Now, that's not just a real estate agent, it's also insurance, it's mortgage, it's moving companies, it's designers and stagers. Having someone that can be your quarterback or assist and kind of be your leader as you're walking through, and having a guide as you're exploring the city is great. Now, it's not just buying and selling as well. It's someone that can give you all of these types of tips or insights. And please know, my team would love to be able to do so. Now, that's a wrap, my friends. We gave you those 10 facts of things that you're going to want to know before you would think about moving to Beverly Hills. Again, as always, if you have additional questions, you'd love to be able to touch base, I would encourage you to subscribe, comment, or hit that notification button so you are getting insights as we share videos as they pop up. Now, my team would love to be able to help. You can call, visit our website, or visit any of our different social media sites. We're here to be helpful. There's no pressure, there's no sales, we're just here as a resource. Remember, you are one click away from your dream home goals, so let's touch base. Thanks.